So we are in Dead Horse State Park, which might as well be Canyonlands National Park. They're right next to each other. And we came here last night right at sunset because we drove, my girlfriend and I drove 8 hours through some pretty terrible conditions and almost didn't make it. And we came to this spot just because it was easily accessible and beautiful for sunset. But there was just too many people. I couldn't really film a whole lot of me talking about my shot, so I didn't really put anything together. But we came back this morning for sunrise, and the sun is actually coming up literally as I'm talking to you guys. So I'm going to take a few more shots and then I'll explain to you what I'm doing, what my composition is, and how things are going. On the right hand side I have this rock face that's pretty close to us right here. On the left hand side I have this butte or monument, whatever you want to call it, and the sun is rising from over there. It's hitting all of these hills over here, and there's some reflected light because it's hitting, the light is also hitting down below us and it's reflecting up on this part of the rock. It's absolutely gorgeous. And at this place, because we're just right next to the parking lot, this place has been shot to death, and I'm sure there's not a unique composition left. However, I found this one and I really liked it just because of the contrast between the rocks on the right and the background on the left. There's not a whole lot going on in the sky, there's no clouds or anything, so I'm just trying to keep that as minimal as possible. But that's pretty much our composition. We're shooting bracketed f8 ISO 100, and I'm just taking 2 focus points, one right at the rocks in the front and one for the background. And if I check my focus ring when I change focus, it's barely anything, so should be pretty easy to put together, and I think the results are going to be pretty good. It's getting pretty hazy now, so the best light's probably already passed. Yeah. Alright, so the light has come and gone, and it is absolutely beautiful here. A little bit hazier than I wanted, but like I said, the composition that I was trying to use didn't have very much sky in it, and a lot of the foreground and background was just taken up by monuments and rocks. And I really just love the way the right-hand side of the composition looks with the layers of rock on my foreground to contrast with the layers of rock in the background. And there's some really unique light because the right-hand side is not being hit by sun. However, down below, the sun hit very early, and those lights were reflecting light up onto the right side of my composition. And like I said, I bracketed my shot -2 EV, 0 EV, +2 EV, so I should have all the range I need to bring out that light into my shot. And I just did, once again, 2 focus points. Realistically, there was only those 2 spots that needed to be in focus, and the focus didn't even shift that much when I did change focus. All in all, I think it's a somewhat unique shot from an area that's probably shot a lot, and I'm really happy with it. So I hope it turns out once I get on the computer. We'll have to wait and see. Anyways, we're here in this area, in the Moab area, for 3 days, and then we go to the Badlands of Utah for 2 days. I think I'm most excited for the Badlands area for photography. A lot of these places have been shot a lot, and just very touristy. Obviously, right behind me, up the hill, is the car park, and thankfully this morning there's barely anyone here. In the whole area that I'm in, I haven't seen a single person, so not too bad, but definitely not my cup of tea when it comes to trying to film myself talk and just talk about my compositions. So anyways, next time you'll see me, probably be for sunset, maybe somewhere in between if the light happens in the right way. Who knows? The first day here, got to do some exploring. Pretty excited, and I hope you guys enjoy. I'm back really quick. I forgot to mention, as I'm taking down my polarizer and ND filter, that I was using a graduated ND, I think 3-stop graduated ND, and a polarizer to kind of pull out a little bit of that haze. I forgot to mention it until I was taking it off of the camera and realized I didn't say that that's what I was using, but that's what I was doing. So there you go. Yeah.
So I wanted to try something a little bit different with this photo, and that was just to talk about it as I present it to you. A lot of the times I edit photos and then just have to show them to you regardless of what I really think, and you don't really know how I feel about a photo once it's done. And in this particular photo, I think it's really important to say that I don't think this photo is done. And what I mean by that is the edit that I'm showing you, I'm not entirely in love with. I think that it does a good job in some ways, but lacks in others, and I think it has more potential than how I'm presenting it to you now. Sometimes I just have to let a photo sit in my catalog and come back to it a few times before I realize or before I figure out what exactly it is that it needs or what I want to do to it. What I have done to the image is luminosity mask the right hand side to paint in some light that represented how the actual scene looked. And on the left hand side I did a little bit, but it's pretty light-handed. That said, the other thing that I really love about this photo is the textures and all of those layers on the rock on the right hand side, along with the colors that are reflecting from the bottom of the canyon onto those rocks. However, the things that I don't like are trying to get desert colors during sunrise or sunset can be difficult because sometimes they just look too orange or too red, and trying to find that happy medium is not easy. And I still look at this photo or some of my older photos of the desert or scenes like this one and still think it could be better. The other thing is this photo obviously just lacks detail in the sky. It was just hazy, clear blue sky pretty much, and there was no real tones that even happened that morning. That said, I did play around with the sky replacement feature in Photoshop for fun, just to see how it worked and how well it did with this image, and I have to say it actually did a really good job just using one of the default images that is provided in Photoshop. I always gauge that by looking at a photo and saying, would I be able to tell that if this sky was replaced? And even zooming all the way in, I can't tell. So take that for what you will. It's not something I will likely do to the final image, but I just thought it was a fun thing to do. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this image, and I would love to hear what you think down below. Here's the rest of the video.
So we are at our sunset spot, and it is full of people. Thankfully, as it gets dark, the trail to get up here is, I wouldn't say hard, but it's definitely got some technical parts that most people don't want to do in the dark. So they're leaving, and that means it's a little quieter, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Our composition is, got my camera right there, shooting this tree, and there's an arch that completely surrounds the tree perfectly. And we are at, actually I don't know if I can say the arch without getting demonetized, so I'll just Google it and put it on the screen. So with that said, the shot, as you can tell, the light has faded in the foreground, is hitting the background, but I've looked and the moon should appear right past the arch as the sun sets in the background. So we should get blue hour light with a moonrise right over the arch. And I'm hoping that the foreground of the tree, arch with the background, that red burn from blue hour and the moon makes our photo. So I'm pretty excited. We have to wait another 35 minutes ish, and yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. You'll see me again hopefully after I've taken the shot that I want. I'll probably go over the composition really quick before it gets too dark, so let's do that. As you can tell, down here is our foreground. Our tree is in the middle. Let me see if I can brighten that up so you guys can see it just a little bit temporarily. I will say the bottom part of the frame I'm not in love with, but to get the tree perfectly in the arch, I have to be at this exact length, exactly where I'm standing. So that's what I'm doing. Then we have the tree, and then obviously we have the arch in the background. And the moon is supposed to rise right in that spot. So I'm hoping that all the light will disappear. We'll get red in the background for that burn for blue hour with the moonrise right there. And I think it's gonna look absolutely spectacular if it turns out. So got another 30 minutes, and I'll check back in then. Alright, so it's getting pretty dark. We're in blue hour right now, and the light over there behind my camera looks great. It's exactly what I would have wanted for the shot in my composition, but we didn't really get any color above the ridge, which is, you know, kind of a bummer, but sometimes that's photography. Some other problems with the composition is that the moon did come up right above the arch, but because I was shooting so wide, the moon is going to appear really small. And that's okay. I could have, if I would have felt like I got a really good shot, I would have popped my zoom lens on there, or just zoomed to 35 on the current lens, and just got a bigger version of the moon so that I could composite it in to the shot, just to give it more representation, to make it look like it actually does when I look up into the sky and see how big it is. It's just one of the downsides of shooting so wide on a wide angle lens. But as it turns out, the light just didn't work out, and that's okay. Still really cool composition. I'm still going to show you guys one of the versions that came out, maybe two versions if one of the ones where the light was still hitting it from the sun worked out. Either way, here are the shots. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'll see you again next week, which is tomorrow for me, and I hope I can get some sleep tonight because it has been a long day. Either way, thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you again on the next one. Peace.